Hey everybody, it's your girl Bunny. To all of my returning subscribers, hey, how you doing? And for those of you who are new to the channel, welcome. Kick your feet up, subscribe to this family-friendly channel, and don't forget to click the notification bell so you don't miss any posts. Also follow me on Instagram at the same profile name so you don't miss the sneak peeks of what's coming up next. In this video, it's Iyanla, Fix My Life. 99 Problems My Mom is One. I give a full episode recap with photos offset to the side, and then I give my review at the end. No need to dig around. I have all of the minute marks in the comments. It's all coming up next. Iyanla narrates. For many, the coronavirus forced individuals and families into a shutdown that stirred up many problems. Couples and families found themselves shut down with people they loved but didn't know with people they didn't like. When you are under one roof with yourself or someone else, problems avoided have a way of showing up and shaking up in your life. Then you're trying to figure out who, what, where, why, and how. But you cannot solve the problem if you don't know what the problem is or why it is showing up and showing itself to you. It's day one, and each member of the Hillard family feels disconnected and isolated while living together during the pandemic. Miss Erica wrote me, but before I meet with her, I want to sit down with the rest of the family to get a clear picture about what they think they're here for, because I suspect the disconnection and isolation are not the only issues in this family. Iyanla wants the daughters of Erica, Leilani, and Alexis to spell what they're there for using the old Soul Train scramble board method. Unfortunately, they can't find the words that apply. They think they're just there because their mom wrote into the show, and since they live with her, they are sort of obligated to come. They wanted to go to keep peace. Iyanla goes to the board to spell out backlash and gives them a little help, and the daughters agree that word is pretty much accurate, making the full sentence of, "We are afraid of our mom's backlash." Her talking about issues all of the time, complaining about what she does and what they don't do. The ladies explain why they're living with their parents at a later age, and Leilani explains that she's a flight attendant, and due to the pandemic, everything shut down and things got difficult at home, causing her to move in with her family. Alexis describes that she's with her mom as well because she couldn't handle the stress of work and school. They agree that since they live with their mom, she's even more controlling. Even as adults, they still don't have a voice to express how they feel. Iyanla takes a minute, though, to call out Alexis that she has a 0.22 rating on her breathalyzer at 10 a.m. That rating is categorized as, quote, may need assistance in walking, may have mental confusion, nausea, and dysphoria. Her sister admits that she has concern about Alexis and her drinking to production. Alexis is honest in saying that she doesn't care, and Iyanla calls also out Leilani because she has an alcohol level of 0.06. They claim that they don't know why Iyanla can do to help them. They're just stressed and just knows that everything's just sort of a mess. Iyanla stresses that they are at critical ages of 32 and 26, and as Black women in this country, in this world, you can't afford not to know what's needed in your life. Analyzing your actions by asking, what are you doing, with whom, where you're doing it, and what to expect to receive from it as a result. What has your mother taught you about being a Black woman? They agree that they've learned from their mother to be strong. But Iyanla stresses that your mom taught you to be a strong Black woman, except with her, okay? You can't explain where there's a cutoff line in what is disrespectful and what is expressing how you feel. Their dad, Patrick, is now coming to the board as well to complete a word or a sentence to display what he thinks he's there for. He has a little trouble in the beginning, but eventually gets help from the family spelling out that he's there to support his wife, and because he really didn't want to come. Iyanla finds it interesting that no one said, "I just don't want to go," and they claim it's because of their mom and his wife. It's a problem that they live with someone in such fear of backlash. Patrick explains that early on in their marriage, he was a little bit more stern because he had a military background. After several counseling sessions, he learned that he needed to be more relaxed just to keep the peace. Iyanla has an idea that the main focus is to speak with Erica. Now it's time for Erica to complete her sentence, and Iyanla encourages the family to assist her. The sentence reveals, "I am the problem," which causes the family to become very quiet in the room. Erica also sees that everyone else has spelled on the board. She sees the sentence of, "I am here because of my wife, and we are afraid of our mom's backlash." Erica doesn't think that the statements are true and apply to her, but Iyanla tells her straight up that Miss Erica, that's the problem. Erica stays behind to speak with Iyanla alone while the rest of the family does work with Coach LaTanya. Iyanla can't understand why the disconnection in the communication is off because Patrick did mention that there have been previous counseling sessions. We learn that Erica thought their marriage was getting better, but then Patrick retired and fell into this slump of being depressed because he was home all the time. On top of that, her mother stayed with them for 3 years because she dealt with dementia and had mild Parkinson's. On top of that, she criticized everything that she did in the house, making the environment even worse. She even describes those 3 years that her mother was with them was the worst 3 years of her life. This all happened and she just wanted to enjoy her retirement. Iyanla wants her to explain what does that have to do with today's responses from her daughters. They acknowledge that they're unauthentic with Erica. Erica learns about Alexis's 0.22 blood alcohol level, but isn't surprised because she drinks all of the time. Iyanla wants Erica to judge on a scale. 0 being I'm out of this marriage and 5 being we're in it to win it. And Erica says that their marriage is about a 3 and she's got to learn what's going on. Iyanla wants her to open up to the truth, and those are the steps that are necessary in order to find out why you're here and the work that needs to be done. Your family feels a certain way, and this is how they feel. Erica's open and needs to know that it's obvious that my family is feeling that I'm controlling and I'm in denial, so I need to learn how to not be that way. There's a narration. Miss Erica's family has struggled to tell her the truth about how they feel, but I know that the husband always knows the truth about the wife. So I'm having a truth-telling conversation with Patrick. Patrick also does a rating of his marriage and he gives it a 4. He hasn't thought about leaving, but is not happy and would like things to be better. There's a word association, communication activity on the board, and they start with the words nuclear meltdown. He's used those words before to describe their arguments. If they argue and he says something that she doesn't agree with, she labels it as disrespectful. So in order just to avoid the arguments and the disconnection, he just doesn't talk about issues at all. They move on to the next set of words, which is flat tires, which is something that explains an event that happened with Alexis. Patrick starts out by kind of downplaying the event and saying, oh, well, she had too much to drink. She had a little incident and ended up having 2 flat tires. And Iyanla says, well, let me help you out. Let's also discuss this next group of words, which is pass out drunk. Your daughter was under the influence of alcohol, came back home and passed out drunk in the hallway of your home, and she crashed her car into a ditch. Your wife found her passed out drunk in the hallway at home, and none of you mentioned that as a problem and why you're here. Patrick shares that he grew up with a father who drank all the time, and he witnessed him being passed out drunk, and no one did anything. Patrick just avoided it, and now it's showing up in his marriage as a 4, but Erica rates the marriage as a 3, feeling like they're just roommates. Iyanla takes Patrick away from the camera because she doesn't want him to feel like anyone's taking away his dignity. It's obvious that he has no idea why he's there. He's knowing that his family is in trouble and the family needs him. Iyanla explains that the fish stinks from the head down. She wants him to just have the staff to remove his microphone, get in the vehicle to go back to the hotel, and if he needs help later, to call Coach LaTanya and he can get into some other processes. But now, emotionally, if you can't do this, just don't come back. He thanks her for giving him that opportunity to just process everything and collect his thoughts. Leilani now sits with Iyanla. One of the phrases on the board reads, "Black sheep." She's not Patrick's biological daughter and has always felt like she's different. And if she's removed, she thinks that nobody would care and it wouldn't even matter. She cries a lot behind closed doors. She doesn't speak up enough and doesn't have enough energy to just argue. She gives an example. With my mom, if you try to talk to her, there's always a side comment, something negative, like, well, wait till you have kids, or she'll ignore you and not talk to you for a long time. Iyanla pulls out a chair and says, let's pretend like this chair is your mother. How does it make you feel? And Leilani says, it makes me feel anxious. Her not speaking to me makes me feel angry. And I don't think she sees me as a woman. Iyanla stresses that it's very important and time for Leilani to grow up in her mother's presence. There's a narration. Not all abuse is loud or physical. Sometimes the silence of withdrawing can be more traumatizing to a young soul. Miss Erica's silence has resulted in her daughters living in fear of losing her love and struggling to find their voices even as adult women. Miss Erica, I had to send your husband home today. I wanted that man to sit down and talk, but this man sat before me and just disintegrated. With Leilani, the definition of her name is Heavenly Flower. Do you treat her as such? You're either disconnected yourself from everything or you're just dishonest. Explain to me emotional violence. What do you call it when you're not talking to someone? When you walk past them in the hallway at home and you don't speak to them? That is emotional violence. When you withdraw yourself from emotional love and no expectation to them of when you're coming back, then it becomes manipulation. You set it up to where people won't be honest and speak with you. You also grew up with a parent who drank a lot, and a lot of you in the family probably called the drinking something else. Your mom was also probably emotionally abusive. Alexis is in trouble, and there's probably some enabling with her. So do your prep work tonight, so tomorrow we can work on your emotional open heart surgery. Write these words down on the boards and think, how do I manipulate? How am I disconnected? How do I demasculate my husband? How am I controlling? How am I a bully? You and your husband will be in separate rooms tonight, but don't call him, don't ask him any questions. Just do your work. It's day 2, and Erica describes her night as sad and confusing. Miss Erica, you are the adult child of an alcoholic. When we are children and we deal with a parent that has a substance abuse problems, it creates wounds. And I'm not sure you ever address those wounds. Then you find yourself as a mother while caring for an aging mother with resentment. Can you accept the fact that you didn't resolve the hurt with your mother, and that with going on in your life, those issues are showing up in your mentoring? And Erica says, yes, I can say that. What else did you realize with all of the teaching and the notes and studying from last night? And Erica says that there's no romance in my marriage. I've realized that we're together and we discuss things like bills, but I just feel very lonely, and I don't think I'm learning that I was a control freak. I didn't think I was, but apparently I am. Miss Erica, this is common because of the issues with your parents who had substance abuse problems. Their actions and their environment was unpredictable, creating this urge to create a controlled environment, you being in control all of the time. This, in your mind, creates a place where you have control. And in your mind, you thought that was coming from a place of protecting them. But we all protect as mothers, but it needs to come from a place of care and compassion. It's more revealed when you have more conversations with the ones closest to you. It's tea time, and the honesty must reveal itself. Leilani gets her chance to express her true feelings to her mother, and she states, "What I need you to know is that even though I am your child, I am not a child. I am a woman, and I want to be treated as such. Sometimes I feel that you usually don't treat me that way. I feel like you don't trust my decisions, and if they're not what you would have done in your eyes, and if it's not a good decision, you treat me a certain way. It makes me feel that I'm not capable of making my own decisions." Iyanla applauds her for her bravery and coins this first step as a victory. Even though Erica might give her advice, she has to realize that she might not take it. The second topic of discussion is she states that something I needed then from you was learning how to stand on my own. Emotionally, you would always tell me that I needed to get a backbone, and I feel like you take my sensitivity as if it were a curse and that I'm just always sensitive. Erica says that she just didn't want people to treat her daughter a certain way because Leilani would say over and over again to people, I'm sensitive. And I didn't want them to see it as a weakness or a curse with her. And Iyanla points out that what if she's an empath? She's the heart of the family. She verbally says what you all don't say. She feels what you all won't acknowledge. And that's not a curse. Erica says that she's proud of Leilani because she takes risks, she's brave, and she does things because she trusts herself. The next step is confession from Erica about what she discovered, but she must share this information with both daughters. Erica still doesn't understand how some of her behaviors are emotionally abusive, but Iyanla checks her and says that even though you don't feel that way, that is the reality. This is what is going on. Her daughters communicate that the energy around their mother is like walking on eggshells. Iyanla wants everyone to not take on everybody else's emotions. Iyanla wants both of the daughters to think of a plan when they will move out. Alexis shares that she's dating someone who wants her to move in with him, and he actually wants to pick her up from the airport that day. She met him before the pandemic and even met his family, and they took her in, and they like who she is. Erica isn't so pleased and is upset that she found out about everything late. Iyanla reminds her that this is because they felt that they can't talk to you, and when they discuss things with you, there's a backlash or you ignore them. Also, remember, Miss Erica, they are adults. Your daughter was just very excited and happy when she talked about her boyfriend, about how his presence makes her feel in her life. Now explain why some of your actions growing up with your parents and how their substance abuse problems made you controlling. Erica shares what she's learned with Iyanla, that her controlling ways stem from her parents having uncertainty and having her in an environment where she didn't know what was next. So over time, she became controlling, making her environment just feel odd with her alcoholic parent. Erica apologizes and feels horrible for her actions. She also tells them that they are the best things that happened to her in her life. She didn't know how to be a mother because her mother didn't know. She wants to do better and welcomes them to express themselves to her more often. There's a narration. Now that Erica has opened the lines of communication with her daughters, I need to check with Mr. Patrick. Yesterday, he was blindsided by the realization that his wife and daughters were deep emotionally troubled. My goal is that a night alone has given him clarity and he needs to move forward in a new way. Patrick realizes that he treated everyone the same way his father treated everyone. His father was very strict and was always angry. Mr. Patrick, you've been leading from behind, meaning you are the head of this family by providing, but when it comes to connecting or addressing things, you do it after the fact, after there's a problem. You mentioned that you and your wife went to counseling because she felt y'all needed to go. You are the leader. When did you stop enjoying your wife as your friend, as your confidant? There needs to be conversations of telling the truth. Either you want to be together or apart. Anything else is consciously cruel. Iyanla doesn't want Erica and Patrick to go home without having a clear conversation as husband and wife. Both of them have had some awareness and they need to share what they've learned. Erica states that I didn't know how to be a parent. I know now that I'm a control freak and have learned to do it from a place that I experienced from my substance abuse parent and their issues. Patrick says that before he starts, he tells Erica that she looks beautiful and lovely, by the way, which makes Erica smile. He says, I realize that I'm leading from behind and I'm waiting till the problem gets worse or is already there to say something. Erica acknowledges that she did the same thing and they learned that they were both emotionally abusive and doing the same thing to each other. Iyanla instructs them to come closer and feel one another. Erica says that she misses how they would just have fun, how he makes her feel. He makes her feel safe and secure and loved. She wants him to step up and lead, to be available. She feels alone and lonely, even though they're in the same house. She misses having fun, laughing, making him laugh, and seeing him smile. Patrick believes that they will get through everything, and he's willing to do whatever it takes to get things right. Iyanla whispers to Erica, and you need to say that you give him permission to check you when you're out of order. And Erica says yes, and I agree and give you permission to check me when I'm out of order. And Patrick says, what? And Iyanla just starts to crack up. And it's a much needed laughter. He gives her permission to do the same thing. Iyanla wants them to uncouple from what used to be. Start new right here, right now. Enjoy each other. Have fun. So now we're going to start this again. I'll ask you both. Now rate from 0 to 5. 0 is I'm out and 5 is, ooh, I can't wait to get it on. And they both say 5. There's a narration. When something breaks down, you need the tools to get it repaired. This family needs to understand how using their communication tools will support them into a new way of being. What are their visions for their family in the future? Patrick just wants everybody to be happy and live their lives. And collectively, when it comes to drinking, they all need to get help. Iyanla wants them to trust the process with everything and just to never give up. Now you have an opportunity to do things differently. And there's a final narration. When there are mother's wounds, there can be unresolved feelings about ourselves in life in general. Abandonment, being overwhelmed, the need to control, the need to please, competing for daddy's love, and feeling responsible for the pain, guilt, and behavior of others. Many people think the pandemic has paused the problems within family and themselves. Chances are the problems were there all along, lying, waiting for something like the pandemic to stir them up so they could be seen. If you or a loved one needs treatment for a substance or mental health related matter, find the treatment options by using the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration Treatment Locator. Thank you to everyone who tunes in to these Iyanla Fix My Life full episode recaps and my reviews. I absolutely love this series, and I've said several times before in other reviews that this show is showing a healing process, and Iyanla makes it known that she can't tie up everybody's problems in a nice bow and everything's fixed by the time that they leave. But what she does fix is making sure that they have the tools and what they need to begin their healing process, because healing happens over a period of time. And even though they may understand their wrongs and different habits and things to change, that is the epiphany. And that is the realization of there's a problem, but now I understand that here are my resources in order to fix it. I love the hands-on activities that they do to give them a visual to understand things as much as possible. Because with the mini shows, you sit down with a professional, they tell you all of these big words and, oh, you're this and you're that, and this is what this means, but not exactly having the fluidity of how to take care of those things and how to start healing. And healing is a process, because you can tell somebody what the problem is, but healing is a process. For those of you who are unaware, the Iyanla Fix My Life series is coming to a close because Iyanla feels that she's given enough years to the show, and also production processes may be blocking the fluidity of what they learn and how they speak. Having a camera around all the time may change someone's authenticity, and also it may change someone's feelings about what exactly to share, because they then have this hesitation of, oh my goodness, people are going to see this on national TV. And then she expressed in an interview, Iyanla, that they go through this process. There's a long process of screening individuals and making sure that they stay dedicated, them traveling there, them having exercises and understanding what they need before they air, understanding what they have the permission to do. And they can do all of that. They can go through this whole entire process, but then decide that they do not give permission for whatever they recorded to be aired. So that's a lot of work, you guys. That's a lot of work. That's a lot of things that come to the productions of the show. And Iyanla has a team as well. She has a wonderful team of other psychologists, psychiatrists, and life coaches, medics, just in case there's anything medically that goes on. So you have this staff there as well to assist, and they all work as a team to make sure that everything is okay and everything is safe. So that's a lot, even before we get to the filming part. It even got to the point to where Iyanla was saying a lot of the shows, okay, this is not for television. I need you to be honest. I need you to open up. I need you to, etc. And especially she wants to make sure that she's not violating anybody's dignity by them crying or having the camera in their face. So I totally get it. And she's given us plethora of seasons to refer to. And also something to keep in mind is that why I love this series so much is that even if everything that's discussed does not apply to you or your family, it's good just to watch it, because we need to know the signs and we need to know the behaviors of what to notice just in case those problems do come forth in our life. With this episode, what was interesting to me were everything that went on with the parents, right? With Patrick and Erica. The fact that they both grew up with a parent or parents that drank, and they both drink, and they're both emotionally abusive. And like Iyanla said, and then you have children. That's a lot of wounds that are opened that needed to be discussed and needed to be addressed. Then you have the pain of taking care of a parent that their health is diminishing, and there are certain processes and things with their health that you don't understand, right? And depending on your age, you're thinking about, my parent is this age. How can I be prepared to take care of them? And what if I can't take care of them? Because, it's like, hey, you have this parent that needs help. It's like, wow, I'm not a doctor or a nurse or a trained medical health professional. What am I to do? So you have all of those emotions in one house. And then on top of that, with the pandemic, happening. You have two adult daughters who come home who need your assistance and who need your love. But you guys are trying to retire and you guys are trying to do this and you're trying to do that. That is emotionally a lot. But you have adult daughters who have grown up with the emotional abuse and are reflecting behaviors of alcoholism. So it's this, we see this generational thing happening. And like Iyanla says, trust the process. Because if you're really dedicated in breaking certain behaviors, you all will be great. You all will start a new beginning. Things will be better in your marriage. Things will be better in the communications and having more conversations, as she told Erica, into listening to what people have to say. It was really great to see that Patrick and Erica said at the end that they were at a 5, and you could see some sort of emotion brewing as they held hands and they looked into each other's eyes and they said that I miss this and I miss that, giving the indication that they still deeply love one another. It's just life events that haven't been discussed or talked about for so long. It built this gap in between them not talking, Erica feeling that she's just has a roommate and they just talk about bills and things that need to be done, responsibilities with the house, but not anything with them romantically as husband and wife. That's a big thing. They're at that age where so many things are happening at one time. Their kids are adults, but things happen, so they kind of depend on you to just help them out every now and then, which is normal, right? Because they're still learning and developing. They aren't kids, but they're still, in my opinion, young adults. They're still learning a lot of things. And the fact that they had that environment to come back home in a time of need is a blessing to them, or a great opportunity for them to say, okay, I was shaken up by a lot of the stuff that happened with this and I had my parents to help me. But Iyanla was just like, okay, now that you got an idea of what's going on, when are you moving out? Because if you're saying you're grown and you're saying, hey, you know, I'm your child, but I'm not a child, Iyanla is saying, right? Then, okay, if you're an adult, what's the next step in being in your own space, which is important, because we don't want to keep having this enabling behavior, which was great. I'm not even a mother, but to hear Iyanla say that and to hear all of the things that mothers have said on this show for years, you learn that there's a limit of understanding that you're giving advice, you're helping, you're this, you're that, but there comes a point in a young adult's life where you have to let them fly on their own. And Iyanla said to Lisa Ray McCoy in one of those episodes that she was enabling her daughter. And as a mom, she was stating to Lisa that you don't want a child to fall down and scrape their knee because it's going to have pain, right? But they need to have opportunities to fall in order to learn from them and what to do next. And that's probably something that's going to happen more with Alexis. Let me know what you think. Make sure to leave your comments. I love reading comments and responding to them. Even if we don't agree, please leave your opinions. Know that it's okay to agree to disagree and to please respect one another in the comments. Also, check out some other shows that are in the pinned comment. There's some other shows that I think you might like. There's plenty to look into in the playlist, but I've highlighted a few that are the most recent. If you're here just for the Iyanla recaps, get ready. There's only one more episode that we have left before we say goodbye to this series. Make sure to like this video, subscribe, and share this family-friendly channel with others. Make sure that you check out other shows as well in the pinned comment so you can check out shows maybe you aren't familiar with or haven't heard of, or things to binge watch. And follow me on Instagram so you don't miss the sneak peeks of what's coming up next. If you're here for just Iyanla, I'll see you for the final review. If not, check out the other things in the playlist. Remember to take care of yourself and each other. Until next time, I'll see ya. Bye.